This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia, and we're finally back after the little short Christmas break we had. And the last episode we did was, last Wednesday, I think, and there's been a bunch of things happening since last Wednesday. I mean, for today's show, we'll talk about, the whole James Harrison situation thing. I don't even know if you call it a situation or whatever it is. Honestly, it should be a non-story, but somehow it's made its way to becoming a story. I mean, you got Marquise Pouncey out here saying that James Harrison's Steelers legacy is not ruined, which is not true at all. I mean, I know you got your feelings hurt because your boy went to the Patriots, but his Steelers legacy is not ruined. I'll tell you that much right there. I mean, work on yours before you're talking about someone else's, if anything. And it's just, I don't know, we'll talk more about it later on in the show and spend a lot of time on it, but it's just, I don't think that, it's just crazy. I mean, the guy's 39 years old. We're talking about a 39-year-old guy who got cut. I mean, if we're going to put it into little simple terms, okay, 39-year-old guy who really hasn't played much this season gets cut and then clears waivers because no one else wanted him, and then he goes to sign with the Patriots. Okay? Actually, you know what? Let's start the show with that. Yeah, we're going to start the show with that, but let me talk about what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the show, all right? So we're going to talk about the James Harrison thing right now. Okay, we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about the little AFC wild card, who's going to come out of there. We're going to make our picks for Week 17. We're also going to talk about the NBA games from yesterday, talk about that crazy Celtics versus Rockets game. And we'll talk about, let's see, what else should we talk about? Let's see. Oh yeah, we'll talk about I think there's the Ohio State and USC game going on tonight. We'll talk about talk a little bit about the playoff because those games are going to be going on Monday, and we're not going to be having a show on Monday since it'll be the new year, January 1st. So enjoy that day, and we'll be back on Tuesday. But yeah, like I said, on this fourth segment, probably we'll be talking about the college football playoff games and then anything else going on in sports. So let's get back into this whole James Harrison type of thing. All right. So just to recap, James Harrison hasn't really played much at all this season. Okay. At all, really. Guy's 39. Dude's built like an animal, but it's looking like, you know what, Pittsburgh just doesn't think he can do what he does anymore or what he used to do for the team, okay? So, yeah, hasn't been playing, okay? And, I mean, this whole situation, I mean, it's like, at first it was more, just let me start out what I thought of it at first, okay? When I see Pittsburgh cutting James Harrison, I'm like, why? What's the point? It doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I think they cut him Week 16, just this past week, I think. And, it's like, okay, you have Week 17 in the playoffs, why not just keep him? And, I mean, as soon as he got cut, I mean, it had to be common sense that he was going to the Patriots, right? I mean, I got my uncle, I was talking to him at the Christmas party I was at, and he was telling me, obviously the guy's going to go to the Patriots. It makes no sense for the Steelers to cut him because he's going to go over there and he's going to be telling them pretty much what to do, how to stop him, and it just makes all the sense in the world for him to go to the Patriots. And sure enough, it happened. And I was talking to one of my buddies too, and he said the exact same thing. I mean, if you're the Steelers, and again, I'm talking before James, because James Harrison came out today and said some things about it. But I mean, if you're the Steelers, I mean, what did you really expect? I mean, the Patriots really have no pass rush whatsoever. It can't get to the quarterback. Obviously, if you're going to release a guy like James Harrison, I mean, he's probably better than anyone else they got on the defensive line. And obviously, he's going to go there. I don't understand why fans, Steelers players, and pretty much anyone else that is, I don't know why they're surprised. I mean, it makes all the sense of the world for James Harrison to get cut and then go to the Patriots right after. I mean, it's the ultimate Bill Belichick move. And it just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, as little time passed or whatever, I mean, we started learning more about it. And James Harrison came out today and said that what did he said he was talking about how he's been asking for his release throughout the season, and the Steelers weren't giving it to him. And he said when he signed, I think he got like a little 2-year extension deal with the Steelers in the offseason, I think, or that might have been last year. I can't remember exactly, but he said when he got that, there were some promises made to him that really weren't kept. Obviously, it had to do with his playing time. Okay, they told him, oh yeah, you're still going to be playing. We know what you can do and all that. And he was talking about how, I think it was during during practice and stuff like that, they weren't really using him too much and weren't really letting him get him too many reps. And he's telling him, like, you know what, I need these reps in order for me to be at the best I can be. And I guess the Steelers coaches were telling him that, man, this seems like a gossip type of thing, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, the Steelers coaches were telling him that, we know what you can do. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And sure enough, I mean, James Harrison would go into 1 week thinking he was playing, and he wouldn't play. He'd be inactive a couple of weeks, and it's just pretty much, it has to do with his playing time. And I completely understand. And there's so many things to this whole situation. Like, there's the whole thing with loyalty, okay? There's the whole thing with his legacy. And I'm gonna try and be a little bit like clearer more with talking about this, because like there's just so much to unpack right here, I feel. And it's just like, I still don't understand how this has become such a big story. The guy's 39 years old. Okay, he's not some young guy in his prime or whatever who's causing havoc on the quarterback. Okay, he's 39 years old. Yeah, he's built like an animal, but his best years are behind him. And I mean, all right, yeah, let's go step by step. We'll talk about each thing. Okay, like each part of this whole situation. All right. So first off, let's talk about his Steelers legacy. Okay. Does James Harrison go into the Patriots as a 39-year-old hurt his Steelers legacy? No, it shouldn't, okay? It shouldn't at all. Guy made one of the biggest plays for that team in Super Bowl history when he, against Arizona, where he took that interception. I think it was right before the first half was about to end, took it all the way for a touchdown. That was a crazy play, too. I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, you see the guy, little old James Harrison, because James Harrison's not a tall guy or anything like that. So when you see him running the ball, intercepting the ball and running with him, and it looks pretty funny. But yeah, you see him out there. Steelers are making blocks. James Harrison's making cuts, getting through, and he gets the touchdown. Right, that was a big play right there. And James Harrison has done way too much for him to ruin his Steelers legacy by going to the Patriots. All right, if you remember correctly, the guy went to the Bengals after the Steelers cut him the first time, I think, and that was a few years ago or whatever. Yeah, so the Steelers cut him. He goes to the Bengals. Why was there no talk about him ruining his Steelers legacy there? He went to a bigger rival team. Actually, I feel like rivalries are weird, like as far as like the Steelers and Bengals go, because obviously the Patriots and Steelers, like they have their own little rivalry, but I figure that in-house division rivalry, I feel like that's bigger. I mean, yeah, I think so. So yeah, he just goes to like a bigger rival in the Bengals, and there was no talk about him ruining his Steelers legacy because everyone thought he was done. Okay. And then he ends up coming back to the Steelers, playing well. They give him that 2-year contract extension. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why his legacy, Steelers legacy, I guess, from Marquise Pouncey, wasn't ruined by him going to the Bengals, and now it is by him going to the Patriots. I mean, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And James Harrison, I mean, I don't know if they got like a Ring of Honor type of thing in Pittsburgh, because I know teams have a bunch of different names for it. Either way, teams they like to put names up in the stadium, blah, 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 for their best players. And I'm sure the Steelers are going to end up putting him in there eventually, like after he retires. I mean, there's no way the guy's going to be back in the NFL next season unless he just goes off for the Patriots. And I don't think he will, but I mean, that Patriots pass rush, I mean, he's going to be way better than anyone else there, so we'll see about that. But I mean, yeah, a few years from now or whatever, put his name in that little Ring of Honor thing, that whatever the Steelers call it, because he deserves it, all right? The guy's been out there busting his butt for your team for I don't even know how many years he's been in the league, 10 years maybe, around there, a little bit more possibly. But I mean, this whole Steelers legacy ruin thing, I mean, that's not the case at all, okay? You need to get over it. He went to the Patriots. If you're so hurt about him going to the Patriots, Steelers should have just held on to him and not cut him in the first place, because literally anyone else in the world, I mean, there's no way that whoever the Steelers GM is, I don't know if Mike Tomlin's running the show out there as far as the players go and picking him up or anything like that, but whoever cut him had to have known, okay, yeah, Bill Belichick, he's going to pick him up. Like, there's no doubt, okay? So, yeah, Steelers legacy not ruined, okay? Next thing I want to talk about, this whole loyalty thing. All right, loyalty is like a weird thing in the NFL, and I don't really believe in loyalty in the NFL, okay? I have this whole mindset, and pretty much everyone else should. I mean, I understand that we're all fans out here, and we all want our team to play well, and we all want our team to sign the best players and keep our players, and we don't want our players, not even our players, players of the team we root for, all right, to go out and go sign with other teams, okay? And that shouldn't be the case at all. I mean, I understand it from both ways, okay? As a fan, I mean, some people do get a little too invested into their teams. I mean, in reality, we're just out here watching people play sports, if we're putting it into little simplistic terms, okay? And I'm not trying to like downplay it or anything like that, because I love football, right? I just love watching teams, okay? And I mean, the whole loyalty thing I think is way too overblown, all right? These guys aren't out here playing for free, okay? This isn't high school. This isn't college football. There's no such thing as loyalty in the NFL, all right? No one gets mad when their GM cuts an older player because he really doesn't have it in him anymore, or cuts a guy because the guy that's playing just as good as him is cheaper, even though the other guy's been there for longer, okay? There's no such thing as loyalty in the NFL, and us as fans need to realize that, okay? This is their job, all right? They're not and people say they play for the love of the game, blah blah blah. No, they don't, okay? Tell me, go out there and ask an NFL player, oh, if you were getting paid like nothing, like pretty much playing, if they told you to play for free, all right, would you do it? Some might tell you yeah, because they're not really thinking too much about it. But let me know how do you feed your family playing for free? You don't, all right? So these guys are only out here because they're getting paid. We need to realize that, okay? And we need to understand that the whole loyalty thing, it doesn't exist. It's a business, okay? Head over to the NBA, all right? You got Isaiah Thomas. Dude's sister passed away, and he goes out, plays amazing in the playoffs, okay? And you know what Danny Ainge does? Straight trades him right after. Okay? There's no such thing as loyalty in sports, all right? And we need to realize more that it's a business, okay? And you just pretty much, as a fan, we all got to just root for the teams that we root for, all right? Whether you're a Steelers fan, whether you're a Patriots fan, whether you're a 49ers fan, whether you're a Raiders fan, whether you're an Eagles fan, whether you're a Dolphins fan, whether you're a Rams fan, or any team, anything, okay? Players are going to come and go, and we shouldn't hate on them for making decisions that are best for them. It just doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, James Harrison, he wants to play, so obviously he's going to go out, and he's going to go to the place where it's going to give him the opportunity to. And that place is New England, okay? Like I said before, they don't have much of a pass rush there at all. James Harrison is going to get game time there. He's going to play. He's probably even start too, but he's going to get a whole lot more playing time than he did in Pittsburgh, and it doesn't, I don't blame the guy for going to Pittsburgh, okay? And it just, the Steelers players getting all riled up about it. Oh yeah, there was another thing too, saying, I can't remember who said it, but they were saying that James Harrison wasn't a mentor to the younger guys, like TJ Watt and someone else. I think it was like Bud Dupree or someone else. I can't remember exactly. Someone on the D-line, okay? And we got to get over this whole thing that veteran players need to be mentors for younger players. All right, because the younger player that's playing your position, that's the guy that's going to take your spot eventually. And I don't blame James Harrison for not. I don't know if it was true or whether or not James Harrison said to go ask the players that were talked about that he didn't mentor or whatever. But either way, let's say that he didn't mentor them. Okay, didn't really give them any game tips or anything like that. Again, it's a business. Those guys are going to take James Harrison's job eventually. All right, TJ Watt, that guy's a beast. All right. Could be in the running, I think, for a defensive rookie of the year, and I think he should be. I mean, the guy does everything. He could brush the quarterback. He could drop in, cover. I mean, the guy does everything. One of the best picks of the first round, I think, for the Steelers. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't blame James Harrison if he doesn't want to mentor the guy. He doesn't have to. It doesn't say in his contract, oh, you must mentor the guys that we're bringing in to take over your job. All right? So, I mean, that whole thing right there, the loyalty and mentoring guys, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. It's a business. Okay, the guy's out there playing for his job week in and week out, and when you're bringing in guys to take over his job, why should he have to? I mean, it goes back to the whole Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers thing. Brett Favre was never much of a mentor to Aaron Rodgers, and you know why? It was probably because he knew that Aaron Rodgers was eventually going to take his job. So, I mean, even with that, and like to my final point, okay, the whole James Harrison is going to give Bill Belichick the whole Steelers game plan, how they prepare for each other, who the Steelers, I saw one was like who the Steelers are going to game plan for most on the Patriots side of the ball, and pretty much the Patriots are going to be ready for whatever Pittsburgh has to do. All right, let's think about this for a second. I got it right here. Let me pull it up real quick. The last 5 head-to-head meetings between the Steelers and Patriots. This includes playoffs also, okay? So, last meeting, okay? At Heinz Field, obviously, remember the whole Jesse James catch, not catch, little controversy thing, all right? So the Patriots won that game 27-24. All right, last time, the game before that, in the playoffs, in Gillette Stadium. Patriots won that 36-17. How about the game before that, the third one? That game was at Heinz Field. Patriots won that 27-16. How about the game before that, the fourth one? At Gillette Stadium. Patriots won that 28-21. How about the game before that? At Gillette Stadium again. Let's see. Patriots won that one 55-31. Okay, that's 5 games in the row the Patriots have won against the Steelers, all right? Last time the Steelers won was that 6th game about, let me see. It was in 2011, October 30th at Heinz Field. Steelers won that one 25-17. And if you want to go back, a 7th game at Heinz Field in 2010, Patriots won that 39-26. So in the last 7 meetings between these teams, the Patriots have won 6, Steelers have won 1. I think Bill Belichick and that team out there is doing just fine, whether or not James Harrison is there trying to help him or whether or not he isn't. Okay? Bill Belichick doesn't need any more help. If any of the Steelers need the help, I guarantee you, James Harrison, Bill Belichick's, I don't even think so. I don't even think that's going to happen. Bill Belichick already knows what he needs to know about the Steelers, okay? He's had their number for the last 7 games that they've played. All right? This whole, James Harrison is going to affect the Steelers, he's going to give out the game plan. No, he's not. Bill Belichick already knows what it takes to beat the Steelers, okay? He's done it the last 5 times. I think, honestly, it just sounds like Steelers players talking about it and Steelers fans, it sounds like they're scared. That's honestly what it sounds like. James Harrison wasn't a factor on your team, so why do you think he'd be a factor on someone else's team? It doesn't make sense to me. And the whole, like I said, just going back to the whole, James Harrison's going to give away the game plan. No, he's not. Bill Belichick doesn't need that. Bill Belichick just needs to watch film. Bill Belichick needs to think about the last 7 games. Talk about how he won 6 of those, and the Steelers only won 1. All right. Of course, this season's going to be a little bit different because I think Pittsburgh does have a chance at beating New England, but they're going to have to get past Jacksonville, I feel, in the divisional round, and Jacksonville did blow them out. But, how about worry about Antonio Brown, whether or not he's coming back and going to be healthy? All right. Obviously, the word is that he's going to be back, okay? But tearing your calf muscle, how good can you be coming back after, 3 weeks or whatever? So, this whole James Harrison's going to give away the game plan. He's been playing with the Steelers the last few years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether James Harrison is in Pittsburgh or whether he's in New England. Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. He's not dumb, okay? He doesn't need some player from the opposing team to come to his team and, you have any tips so I know how to beat them? No, that's not what's happening, okay? He doesn't, it's honestly kind of funny. It's laughable. Why would Bill Belichick, probably the greatest coach of all time, need James Harrison to go out and come to the Patriots and give him tips in order to how to beat the Steelers? Bill Belichick's done it the last 5 times without James Harrison. He might do it a 6th time with him. It doesn't matter, okay? It's just comedy to me, but that's all I got to say about that. The whole James Harrison going to New England thing again, I feel like it's way too overblown, and I feel like it's not that big of a story. At least it shouldn't be. I'm talking about it because it has become a big story, but this should have never got to this point. Okay, the guy didn't play at all. He wants to go play. Steelers cut him. Be done with it, okay? There's no such thing as loyalty in the NFL. Get over that, all right? The only loyalty there is in the NFL is between the fans and their teams, all right? You stick with the team you root for, and that's that. You don't go switching teams and all that. And the whole Steelers legacy being ruined, no, it's not. Okay, Marquise Pouncey, it's not. All right? James Harrison's done way more than you ever will in your entire Steelers career in Pittsburgh, all right? So get over it. But that's all I got to say about that. And next up, we're going to be talking about some NBA, talking about that whole Celtics-Rockets game, whether or not those last 2 offensive fouls on James Harden were fouls. And we'll talk about the rest of the games after that. We'll also make our Week 17 picks later on in the show, and we'll talk about anything else going on in sports in the 4th segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. If you missed that last segment, or need a quick reminder, or you know what, either way, I'm just going to recap it, alright? We talked about the whole James Harrison going to the Patriots situation thing. I don't even know what to call it. Like, again, I was talking on the last segment, like, it shouldn't even be that big of a story. The guy's 39, hasn't played this season really for Pittsburgh. I mean, why is everyone so stressed about him going to the Patriots? It's such a non-story. The guy is 39. His best years are behind him. The whole, he's going to give away the Patriots or the Steelers game plan to the Patriots. Bill Belichick doesn't need that, ladies and gentlemen. He does not, okay? Again, recapping the last 7 games, okay? You want to know the Patriots record against the Steelers last 7 games? 6-1. James Harrison didn't have any help with those 6 wins, did he? And even if the Patriots do get this 7th win right here out of the last 8 games, obviously, because I'm sure they're going to be playing each other in the AFC Championship, it's just fate. That's the whole thing about sports, too. I mean, it's just a weird way of working itself out. We all know, I mean, last week I was thinking about how the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to end up in the AFC Championship, probably play the Patriots or Steelers, either one. They're probably going to end up seeing the Steelers in the divisional round. But, I mean, now with James Harrison going to the Patriots, like, it's obvious it's going to be those two teams against each other in the AFC Championship. And look at this. If these two teams don't face off each other, then this is such a waste of time story. I mean, the guy's 39. His best years are behind him. Bill Belichick doesn't need any more help. It's just, I don't get it. I mean, Marquise Pouncey's out here crying that his Steelers' legacy's ruined. It's not. It's not, trust me. But that's all I got to say about that. Let's get into some NBA. I was going to start off with the Rockets and Celtics game, but I feel like that deserves to be talked about at the end because, I mean, what a game that was. So let's just get it started with all the other games. So you got Detroit. They headed into Orlando. Orlando won that one 102-89. Tobias Harris for Detroit had 21 points, 3 rebounds, shot 8 of 17 from the field. Andre Drummond had 17 points, 18 rebounds, shot 7 of 16 from the field. And you had Ish Smith starting at point guard now that Reggie Jackson's been out. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 9 of 18 from the field. Then you got Aaron Gordon for the Magic with 14 points, 7 rebounds. He shot 6 of 12. Evan Fournier with 17 points right there. And you got Elfrid Payton with 19 points. And good old Mo Spates coming off the bench, dropping 16 points, 5 rebounds. But let's talk about Detroit for a quick sec. Detroit started off so hot, started off so good. All right, they were 14-7, and then they just fell off the face of the earth. Now they're 19-15. They started off 14-7. Let's do some quick math. That's 5 and 8. Yeah, 5 and 8 in the last 13 games. I don't get with Detroit. I mean, they got solid players. I think Avery Bradley's been out for them, but I mean, they got. It's like you had to have known this was coming, right? I mean, it's the Detroit Pistons. Like, the players that they have, obviously, they have some solid players. Andre Drummond might win Most Improved Player. Actually, you know, it's probably going to go to Victor Oladipo, so Andre Drummond can come in second. But, I mean, they got solid players, but did anyone really think that this was going to be a team that could compete with the Celtics or the Cavs, let alone even the Raptors or even the Wizards now that they got John Wall back? I mean, really, did anyone really think that? Or were we just believing into the hype just because we had someone else playing really well? I mean, it's the Pistons, dude. I mean, they'll be lucky to make the 6th seed. Next game, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves. They headed into Milwaukee. Milwaukee won that one 102-96. For Minnesota, you had Andrew Wiggins with 21 points. He shot 7 of 14. Karl Anthony Towns with 22 points, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 12. Jimmy Butler dropped in 20 points. Not a great shooting game from him. Only shot 6 of 16. Then you got Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Bucks. He had 22 points, 10 rebounds, shot 11 of 20. Chris Middleton dropped 14 points. Eric Bledsoe, he's been playing really well since the Suns traded him too. I mean, I think this was like the best fit for him going to Milwaukee. I mean, the guy's been playing well. Obviously, the second best player and probably the second best scorer on the team. So, I mean, yeah, the guy dropped 26 points, 6 assists, had 8 of 15 shooting, and then Malcolm Brogdon came off the bench and scored 16 points too. And I mean, these two teams right here, these are both weird teams right here. Milwaukee's going to finish middle of the pack in the East. So, I mean, they might be able to pull out a series or two, maybe, or not a series or two, because, I mean, it's going to be Celtics versus Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what I think. But, I mean, Milwaukee could go out and beat a team like the Raptors, I feel, in the playoffs. And, I mean, if those teams were to go out and face off with each other in the playoffs, I mean, obviously Milwaukee would be my pick, but I don't know. And as far as Minnesota goes, I mean, it's really play your best, Minnesota, but we all know how this ends, okay? It's going to end with either the Rockets or Spurs losing to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, so, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Next game, we had the New York Knicks facing off with the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio won that one, 119-107. Kristaps Porzingis had 18 points, 1 assist, 7 rebounds, fouled out in that one. Let's see, you had Courtney Lee with 18 points, 2 rebounds, shot 7 of 15. And look who finally decided to show why they were the, number 2 pick? Yeah, I think Michael Beasley was the number 2 pick. Yeah, why they were the number 2 pick in the draft. How long ago was that Derrick Rose and Michael Beasley draft? Was that 2010? I think it was 2010. Can't remember exactly, but either way, Michael Beasley out here dropping 23 points, 12 rebounds, shot 9 of 13. Where has this been your entire career, Michael Beasley? Why are you just doing this now? I understand Michael Beasley probably had some problems early on in his career. I mean, personal issues or whatever. I think there's been a couple of stories about it, but I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, the guy goes out to, where did he play overseas? I think he played in China, okay? That's where good old Jimmer Fredette is. I mean, poor Jimmer. I mean, he's going to be in China the rest of his career for the playing basketball. But either way, going back to Michael Beasley, I mean, this is the number 2 pick we all expected to be in the NBA. I mean, the guy's been playing lights out this season, and I'm not sure if it's a whole confidence thing or he's just got his life back together or whatever it is, but I mean, good on Michael Beasley finally playing well. As for the Spurs, though, you had LaMarcus Aldridge with 25 points, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 19 in that one. Tony Parker had 14 points. Pau Gasol had 17 points, and Danny Green had 15 points. Kyle Anderson also had 16 points now, so just a good game from the starting 5 of the Spurs. As for Philadelphia, they headed into Portland, and Portland pulled out the win in that one, 114-110. Let's see, for Philly, you had Dario Saric with 25 points, 9 rebounds, shot 10 of 12 from the field, 5 of 6 from the three-point line. That's a really good player on Philly. I mean, he really doesn't get too much talked about him because Robert Covington got that big old contract in the offseason. And then you got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons leading the way there. I mean, and then you even got J.J. Redick gets talked about more. But Dario Saric is a guy who really deserves a little bit more recognition for his play on the team. You got Robert Covington, also for the Sixers in that game, with only 4 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Only played 24 minutes, only took 2 shots. Didn't get a chance to watch this game, but that's actually kind of weird, his stats right there. Maybe he got hurt, but either way, 2 shots in 24 minutes, hurt or not, is it's a bad stat line right there. As for Joel Embiid, he had 29 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 9 of 21 from the field, 6 of 12 from the three-point line. Ben Simmons came out with 17 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 7 of 17. And J.J. Redick came in and dropped 19 points. As for the Trailblazers, you got Joseph Nurkic with 21 points, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 13. Shabazz Napier, 23 points, 7 of 14 shooting. I mean, it looks like that guy's finally figured it out. The guy's finally been playing well, but I mean, it only took him, 5 years? And so you got Evan Turner with 8 points, 2 rebounds, shot 3 of 7. That guy, man, had he had 2 really good years in Boston, and then gets cashed out, and I mean, really hasn't returned to the player he was in Boston. I mean, Evan Turner really hasn't been, he's been an average player, below average player, with Philly and with the Trailblazers. Did he play with anyone else? I think it was just Philly and the Trailblazers. And with Boston, I mean, the guy just had his 2 best years of his career by far, and I think that more has to do with Brad Stevens than anything. I mean, that guy somehow just manages to get the best out of everyone, every player that he has. I mean, like I say all the time, you got a guy like Shane Larkin who's playing in Spain last year, and the guy's playing meaningful minutes for a top contender in the East. But either way, you had C.J. McCollum come out here, drop 34 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 9 of 20 and 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Once again, Portland came out, win that game 114-110. Philly's currently 15-19. Might find themselves back in the lottery if they don't figure it out, but let's see how it goes for them. All right, let's go back to the game of the night. Houston went into Boston, and Houston was up by 26 points for most of that game. I mean, Houston, they just blew it. That's what it is, okay? I'm going to talk about the whole foul calls at the end of the game, and we'll talk about that, but I mean, Houston, they just... I mean, it's not the ref's fault that you blew a 26-point lead. It's not the ref's fault that you only made 9 shots in the second half. All right? I mean, let's get into the stats right here. But Boston won this game 99-98. James Harden comes out, has 34 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 7 of 27. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's why this Rockets couldn't win yesterday. Also shot 5 of 15 from the three-point line. Eric Gordon had 24 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 9 of 23. Another bad shooting night. 4 of 14 from the three-point line. Yep, that has nothing to do with why they blew a 26-point lead or lost. It has to do with the refs, right, James Harden? Let's see for the Celtics, though. You got Kyrie Irving, 26 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 9 of 18. Marcus Smart, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 6 of 14. Jason Tatum having a great year, guys, leading the league in three-point shooting. And I mean, he's not even playing like a rookie. I mean, it's pretty solid for him. Oh yeah, he led the team in minutes too. He played 40 minutes yesterday. Had 19 points, 5 rebounds, like I said. But I mean, the guy's out here playing for a top contender in the East and pretty much hasn't held him back at all. And then Terry Rozier had 13 points yesterday. Also had 8 of those in the fourth quarter. So now that we got through the stats, let's talk about the game. James Harden. I love watching James Harden play, all right? Love the way he plays and think that he's been not, like, I think that, I mean, I understand why Russell Westbrook got the MVP last year. I mean, 2 less assists, and it goes to James Harden. And I can't remember who won the MVP before that. It was someone. Who won the MVP before Russell Westbrook? I can't remember, but either way, James Harden didn't win it. All right, so I feel bad for James Harden. I understand, but James Harden is really doing well to make him one of my disliked players in the NBA. Quit crying about foul calls. All right, you shot 14 free throws yesterday, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the NBA, I mean, as great as it is, okay, yeah, it's the best league in the world right now. I mean, it's more entertaining than the NFL, definitely more entertaining than the MLB. MLB only gets entertaining around playoff time. And what else am I missing? Obviously more entertaining than hockey, but I mean, hockey deserves some credit. I mean, I know we don't talk about it on the show. I probably won't for a while, but, you know. And it's just the NBA, the players are so soft. Like, if they don't get a foul call, you see them crying. I mean, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, LeBron James are the 3 biggest players who do that. If they don't get one call, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, they get 15 free throws a game, but if they don't get that one call, oh my gosh, we're not getting calls. The refs, why are they doing this to us? That's how it is. I mean, like, as far as, like I said, I mean, let's talk about the game more from yesterday, okay? Rockets are up 26 points in the first half and up double digits for pretty much all of the third quarter and for a little bit of the fourth quarter, all right? Rockets were up by 12 with like 8 minutes left in the fourth. Don't get mad at the refs because Marcus Smart baited you into committing 2 offensive fouls, James Harden. All right, and as far as those fouls go right there, I mean, those were fouls. Okay, the rule is you can't extend your arm. And unless my eyes deceive me, James Harden extended his arm on Marcus Smart. You can't do that. Okay, I understand. On the first offensive foul, I did think that Marcus Smart oversold it a little bit, but either way, James Harden stuck his arm out. Can't do that. That's a foul. All right, I understand it's a late game situation, but I don't care. It's a foul. All right, Al Horford comes out, makes his little shot or whatever. Boom, Celtics take the lead. James Harden, Marcus Smart standing right in front of him, got his hands up. Obviously, Marcus Smart is trying to bait you. Obviously. Okay? Everyone else in the world knows it. Why are you going to try and run through him? Okay? If James Harden tries to step to the right, go around him, and Marcus Smart gets in front of him, it's a blocking foul. Okay? But James Harden, because he probably thinks that he's one of the best players in the world, which he is, okay? He's probably got that in his head, you know what, I deserve to get in foul calls or whatever because I'm the best. No, that's not how it works, and I know that's how it is in the NBA, but it shouldn't be like that, okay? So if James Harden on that last offensive foul, okay, if he just tries to go around Marcus Smart, it's a blocking foul. But instead, what does he do? Oh, let me go through him and extend my arm. Yeah, that's an offensive foul. Okay, and I understand the whole late game argument, and I completely understand. If they didn't call it, whatever. They called it a blocking foul, whatever. It's no foul, whatever. It doesn't matter. But either way, ref calls it a foul, and I understand why. Okay, James Harden, instead of complaining about the refs, how about next time you just sidestep Marcus Smart and try to go around him? And if he's trying to go around him, Marcus Smart's still in front of him, Marcus Smart goes down, that's a foul on Marcus Smart. But, you know, these top players in the NBA, they cry a lot. All right, they need their fouls or whatever, and it just bothers me because, I mean, I don't know, the NBA is soft. But, yeah, I mean, also another thing, I mean, Rockets only hit 9 shots in the second half. How about you complain about that? I mean, there's just so many things that went wrong for the Rockets, and I mean, the refs didn't decide this game. I'll tell you that much, all right? The refs did not decide that game. But either way, Boston's still the number 1 team in the East. Rockets are currently second, I believe, in the West, and that's all I got to say about that. As for this next segment, we're going to be making our Week 17 picks, and for that 4th segment, we're going to be talking about the college football playoff. I'll be making my picks again. I know I did early on when the playoff was like the 4 teams were announced, but I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about a little bit about the Ohio State USC game and more about Sam Darnold than anything, but yeah, we'll talk about that and pretty much anything else that's been going on in sports. We'll do the college basketball scores too, so stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. That was a nice little ring to it. GSMC Sports Podcast. I don't know, it sounds cool to me, but maybe it's just a little intro music that we got going on. It makes it a little bit cooler. But either way, we're back. Third segment. We're making our Week 17 picks. Before we get into that, though, let me recap that last segment. Talked about the NBA games. Talked about each of the scores. Milwaukee beat at Minnesota. The Trailblazers beat Philly. And what other game was there? I know the Celtics beat the Rockets. I'll recap that a little bit more, just a little refresher. But there was another game. What was it? Let me see. I'm going to pull it up real quick. It was the Magic beat the Pistons. Oh, yeah, and there was the Knicks losing to the Spurs. That's what it was. All right, yeah, so that happened. And then, like I said, though, in the Celtics-Rockets game, I mean, James Harden's going to complain about the refs and how that's probably why they lost, but it's not. It's because they only hit 9 shots in the second half. But either way, let's get into these Week 17 picks. I've been missing. I love making picks because usually I'm wrong all the time, but I get to make fun of myself, you know? So let's just get into it right now. So first game, we got the Chicago Bears heading into Minnesota. I got Minnesota in this one, okay? Minnesota's going to win this one big time, I think. Chicago, I mean, they got a lot of problems that they got to fix in the offseason. They need to get rid of John Fox, okay? NFL's passed him up. He's overstayed his welcome there. It's done. All right? They need to get some receivers for Mitch Trubisky. And honestly, I think they just need... Like, Chicago, they need receivers, and you can get that in the draft. But I just think that Chicago's going to find a way to hire a bad coach. And it's just... Chicago really hasn't done well hiring coaches the last, 10 years? I mean, they had Mark Trestman. That obviously didn't work out. Then I can't remember. They probably had a couple other guys. But then you had John Fox. I mean, I want Chicago to be good. Okay, I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be the guy for the future, the quarterback of the future for them. Jordan Howard, one of the best running backs in the league. Top 10 running back for sure. Top 7 probably. I mean, defense is young. They're quick. They play well. They get to the ball. They need receivers, and you can do that in the draft. Probably get a guy like Calvin Ridley from Alabama. But I just, for some reason, think that they're going to mess up this whole coaching search thing. And, I'm almost positive that they're going to fire John Fox. If they don't fire John Fox, then... just fire John Fox. But as for Minnesota, I mean, they're going to be without their starting center, and I don't think it's going to really make much of a difference. Just get them healthy for the playoffs. They're going to have a first-round bye. So, I mean, they're really just playing for either the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. But I got Minnesota in that one. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this one. The Bills are going to find another way to extend that playoff drought. Okay, because you know what? Actually, I'm gonna talk more about that whole, explain myself more with this whole AFC wildcard situation. Okay, but it's between the Ravens, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Bills. Those are the 4 teams that are playing for those 2 spots. And I'm gonna make, for those games right there, when I'm talking about the Ravens game, the Bills game, the Chargers game, and the Titans game, I'm gonna make my picks. But I'm gonna talk more about those teams in the next segment. All right, yeah. So I got the Dolphins in this one. Dolphins really have that whole knack of ruining a team's season when they have nothing to play for. But, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you might see David Fells in that game, too, the guy out of San Jose State. He's been, 3-4 years in the NFL so far. I mean, the Dolphins are winning the throwbacks, too, and they don't lose in the throwbacks. So, I mean, I'm going to talk more about it in the next segment as far as those 4 teams go. talking about the Bills, Ravens, Chargers, and Titans. As for this next game, we have the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. This game means nothing. This is the thing about the NFL, too. We got a bunch of mean nothing games. And the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions game is one of those. All right, I'm going to go with Detroit in this one. They're playing at home. And I still don't like Brett Hundley, so I got Detroit winning in this one. Then you got the Texans facing off with the Colts, and the Texans season. This is a team that probably, can you believe it? The AFC South, if Deshaun Watson didn't blow out his knee, could have had 3 teams who could have made it to the playoffs. The AFC South has been the laughingstock of the NFL for what, the last 5 years? Yeah, the last 5 years, unless even with Andrew Luck out there. Obviously when Andrew Luck out there, Colts are the team to beat. And, man, it seems like we haven't seen Andrew Luck play in so long. Hopefully he gets healthy next year because, the league's a whole lot better when he's out there. Man, I feel like we're getting cheated out of Andrew Luck right now. The guy's a top 5 quarterback when he's out there. But, get that shoulder fixed up, please. But, nonetheless, going back to the Texans, they're not going to have their number 1 pick because that belongs to the Browns. And obviously the Browns are going to find a way to mess that up, but we'll talk about that later on. But, this game right here, this is pretty much like a toss-up right here. I'm going to go with the... Who do I want in this game? Man, I hate Week 17. I'm going to go with the Colts. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts. Jacoby Brissett's better quarterback than T.J. Yates. T.Y. Hilton's going to have a big game. Jack Doyle's been playing well this season. He's going to be a nice, solid piece for the Colts next season, especially with Andrew Luck. That's one thing I'm going to be looking forward to. Jack Doyle and Andrew Luck, if he comes back healthy. Once Andrew Luck's out there, look for Jack Doyle in your fantasy leagues. That guy's going to go off next year with Andrew Luck out there. But, yeah, I got the Colts in that game. Then we got the Jets and Patriots, and I got the Patriots in this one. Obviously, there's not much to talk about. But the Jets, they extended the contract of their GM and head coach Todd Bowles. Obviously, the GM and Todd Bowles are different people. I just can't recall the GM's name. But Todd Bowles, the guy did a lot with less than, obviously, for him to pull out 5 wins as a team, because, the Jets, beginning of the season, in the offseason, no one thought they'd win more than 3 games. Okay, everyone's like, oh, the Jets have no talent out here. And Todd Bowles got the most out of them. So, I completely understand why the Jets would give him a contract extension. The Jets... their biggest problem, okay, because you got a guy like Robbie Anderson who's been playing well this season, and he's probably going to be the receiver of the future. The Jets, they're not going to be a team who competes for the wild card next year. They got too many problems. They need a quarterback. They need a number 2 receiver. They need a whole new running back. Bilal Powell, that's not the guy. Matt Forte, that's not the guy. And Elijah McGuire, I think that's his name. That's not the guy either. So they need to bring in a few running backs next season, fix up some things on the secondary, and... it's going to take a couple of years, so, this rebuild's going to take much longer, but, it's all going to depend on them getting a quarterback, and them going 5-10 really just doesn't help their cause. They need to trade up, I think, in order to get a guy like Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold if he comes out. We'll talk more about Sam Darnold, whether or not he's going to come out or whatever in the next segment. But, the Jets are going to have to use a few picks to trade up and get a quarterback, and that's just going to hurt their whole rebuild a little bit more. So, the Jets are in a bad spot right now since Todd Bowles got the most out of his team. As for this next game, we got the Washington Redskins heading into New York, facing off with the Giants, and it's looking like Eli Manning might be back with the Giants next season. He's got 2 more years on his contract, and they just hired the new GM, Dave Gettleman. I think it's Dave. Is it David? No, I think it's Dave Gettleman. And if you remember, he's the old GM from the Panthers. But, he was talking in a press conference, I think it was this morning or the other day. I can't remember exactly. But, he was out here saying that, if Eli Manning's little 400-yard performance against the Eagles where he threw 3 touchdowns, that's not. He said if it's not a mirage, then, he sees no problem no reason as to why they wouldn't bring him back. So, watch out for Eli Manning coming back next year, but either way, they're still going to draft a quarterback, I think. So, we'll see about that, but I'm going back to the Redskins and Giants game. I'm going to pick the Redskins in this one. They're the better team. So, next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys facing off with the Philadelphia Eagles. This game's in Philly. This game means nothing for Dallas since they blew it against the Seahawks last week, and boy, did they ever blow it last week. You're down on the 1 against Seattle. You're down by, what is it? I think it was an 8 or 9, and Rod Marinelli, the offensive coordinator, I think it is, or Jason Garrett, whoever it is. Why don't you run the ball at the goal line? You have Ezekiel Elliott. Why are you going to throw? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm still frustrated over it. Why don't you just run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott at the goal line? Why are you going to try and put it on Dak Prescott's shoulders? It doesn't make sense to me. Dak Prescott is not the best player. I can't stand when coaches try to outsmart each other and actually just try to show, like, oh yeah, look what I can do. Because that's exactly what Pete Carroll did. That's exactly why they lost the Super Bowl. And I'm still frustrated about them not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch, but I won't even get into that. But, I mean, it just makes no sense to me. I mean, right there, I'm like, fire Jason Garrett, fire the offensive coordinator. That's beyond terrible right there. I mean, that ended their playoff hopes right there. It doesn't make sense to me. I think Jason Garrett should be gone, but, I mean, he's a yes man to Jerry Jones, so he's going to be back next season. But going back to this whole Cowboys and Eagles game, obviously it only means something for one team, and it means like a tiny little bit. I mean, it means if Eagles win, they'll get the first seed. If they lose, they'll probably end up with the number 2 seed. As for Dallas, so this game means nothing for them. But I'm going to go with I don't even know if I want to go with Dallas in this one. I mean, I'm going to go with Philly in this game. I think Nick Foles is going to do enough to pull it out. Jason Garrett frustrates me. But either way, next game we got the Browns heading into Pittsburgh. The Browns going to get their first win of the season? Yeah, no, they're not. They're going to get blown out. All right, they're going to lose to the Steelers unless the Steelers bench their entire team. And congrats, Cleveland. I mean, you did the ultimate Cleveland thing. You're about to go 0-16. I mean, I picked them 3 times this season. They let me down 3 times. They're going to need a quarterback. Okay, I think they're going to get rid of Josh Gordon after this year. And they're just too young. They're too young right now. I'm bringing back Hugh Jackson after going, what is it? It's going to be 1-31. I don't get that either. I mean, I understand. I guess I don't get it, actually. Yeah, I don't care that they're the youngest team in the NFL. Only getting 1 win out of 2 seasons. You're not the guy. Hugh Jackson, the coach, head coach, not that good of a head coach, I think. Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator, one of the best. So we'll see how it all goes. But I got the Steelers in that game easy. Next game. Here, we got a game that means something, boys and girls. We got the Carolina Panthers heading into Atlanta, facing off with the Falcons. I think we all know how this one ends, right? Or at least I do. Carolina's winning this game, and it's going to be the ultimate Atlanta choke. Obviously, not the ultimate one, I guess. I should pump the brakes there, because obviously that came in the Super Bowl when they were up 28-3. But, yeah, the Falcons are going to miss out on the playoffs, and I think they should. They don't deserve to play in the playoffs. They haven't played like a playoff team, okay? They've been pulling out, like, tough wins. Like, not even tough wins, just bad wins against bad teams all year. So, I think Carolina and Cam Newton are come out, and because Carolina's got something to play for, so I think Cam Newton's going to come out, and he's just pretty much going to blow out the Falcons. I'm going to say blow out. It's going to be a close game, okay? But I just don't think the Falcons are a team that deserve to be in the playoffs. They got talent, but you know what? They just haven't played like a playoff team. So I got the Panthers in this one. Next up, we got the Bengals and Ravens. I got the Ravens in that one easily. The Ravens are going to get one of those playoff spots, one of those wild card spots for sure. So not really much to say about that game right there. Next up, we got the Saints facing off with the Buccaneers. Saints got to win this one in order to win the division, and I think they're going to. Also, with the Bucs, I mean, I've been seeing some John Gruden rumors saying he might come back. It was reported by Pro Football Talk, and I think John Gruden, I think we're giving him the Jeff Fisher treatment. Is John Gruden really that good of a coach? Or has he just not been around for that long enough to where we think, oh yeah, he won a Super Bowl, right? Yeah, oh yeah, he's a great coach. I think we got the whole Jeff Fisher syndrome right here. All right, because that was the thing with Jeff Fisher going to the Rams, and we all thought, oh yeah, Jeff Fisher's a good coach. He won a Super Bowl. Jeff Fisher's a terrible coach, mediocre coach. All right, and I think we need to pump the brakes on the whole John Gruden thing. I mean, if he goes to Tampa Bay, so be it, but is he really as good as you think he is? I'm not too sure, but yeah, like I said, I got the Saints in that one. Next up, we got the Jaguars facing off with the Titans. Jaguars put out a tweet that they're going to try and beat the Titans, keep them out of the playoffs. They're going to play their starters, so I got the Jaguars in that one. That's all I needed to hear. Titans not a good team, but we'll talk more about those 4 wildcard teams in the next segment. We got the Chiefs facing off with the Broncos. I got the Chiefs in this one. Chiefs, I gave up on them. I'm not going to lie. You know, I still give up on them. They're going to beat the Broncos this week, but they're going to get bounced in the wild card round by the Ravens. So that's all I got to say about that. Chiefs are beating the Broncos. Next up, you got the Raiders versus the Chargers, and I got the Chargers winning this one. The Raiders has been a complete disappointment so far this season, and it's just, I don't know. The Raiders, I mean, I think it was unfair for the ownership and just pretty much front office and everyone around that team to pretty much talk about, oh yeah, AFC Championship, we're going to go for it. You have no defense. You have no defense at all. You're not going for anything. It was just, they sold, it was fool's gold for the fans right there. It was nothing. There was nothing ever there. But yeah, I got the Chargers now, and next up we got the 49ers facing off with the Rams. Rams, I think they're going to be sitting their starters, so I got Jimmy G and that team right there. Guys been playing lights out. Obviously, the 49ers are going to try and give him a big old extension at the end of the season, and I saw that if not, they're going to franchise tag him. So, I mean, 49ers are going to be a team to watch for next season. Next game up, we got the Seattle Seahawks facing off with the Arizona Cardinals. I got Seattle in this one, and I think Seattle's making the playoffs in the NFC. They're going to take over that wild card spot, and watch out for Seattle, because that team in December is dangerous. And if they somehow have figured out their whole locker room problems, then watch out for them, like I said. But that's it for my picks right there. And for this next segment, we'll talk more about the AFC wildcard situation. We'll talk about the college football playoff games going on Monday. And we'll talk about Sam Darnold a little bit. And what else? We'll recap. We'll give the scores for the college basketball games from yesterday, too. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In that last segment, I made my Week 17 picks, and let me recap those real quick as this intro finishes up. Intro is now finished, so let's get into it. I got the Vikings beating the Bears, the Dolphins beating the Bills, the Lions beating the Packers, the Colts beating the Texans, the Patriots beating the Jets, the Redskins beating the Giants, the Eagles beating the Cowboys, the Steelers beating the Browns, the Panthers beating the Falcons, Ravens beating the Bengals, Saints beating the Bucks, Jaguars beating the Titans, the Chiefs beating the Broncos, the Chargers beating the Raiders, the 49ers beating the Rams, and the Seahawks beating the Cardinals. So obviously, if you heard my Chargers, Titans, Ravens, and Bills picks, you obviously know who I think is making it into the wild card for the AFC. It's the Chargers and the Ravens. Let me tell you why. All right, so Ravens. Cincinnati doesn't pose much of a threat, if any, to the Ravens, okay? Ravens are playing like a great team right now, and that's a team that, if they make the playoffs, I think that they're gonna obviously finish with the 4th seed in the AFC, or the 5th, excuse me. So they're gonna be playing against the Chiefs. Ravens are beating the Chiefs. Lock it up, okay? It's happening. All right, so yeah, 5th spot right there goes to the Ravens. Then you got the Titans facing off with the Jags. I don't think the Titans have any chance in that game. I think the Jags are going to come out and blow them out of the water, okay? So just forget the Titans right there. And you got probably the 2 toughest games to pick, okay? You got the Bills facing off with the Dolphins, and then you got the Chargers facing off with the Raiders. I got the Chargers beating the Raiders, obviously, and I got the Dolphins beating the Bills. The Bills, I feel like that whole starting Nathan Peterman against the Chargers game right there, I think that's going to come back and it's going to bite them in the butt right there. I think that's going to be the downfall right there. If they don't do that, they win that game, I think, and they're already in the playoffs. So I think that's what's going to come back and hurt them, because I think Miami's going to come out and I think they have nothing to play for. And Adam Gase is saying that they're still out here playing to win. I think they're going to be able to pull it out. They've been a good team at home, and they're wearing the throwbacks, you guys. They don't lose in the throwbacks. But Kenyon Drake, he's going to have a big game against Buffalo. I think Jake Cutler's going to come out. It's going to be his last game with Miami because he said he doesn't want to come back in as a backup. And obviously, we all know that Ryan Tannehill is going to be the starter next season. So, I mean, no Jake Cutler. He's going to be his last game with the Dolphins, and he's going to come out, play well. Jarvis Landry's out here playing for a contract. He's going to have a big game. And it's just this whole, I mean, sometimes when you're talking sports, I mean, you can't be really too logical. I mean, it's just the Bills, year in, year out, it's like the Browns. Obviously, we know they're going to be a bad team. It doesn't matter what they do. You just know the Browns. Like, the Browns can make a couple of good draft picks, sign a couple of good players, but it doesn't matter because it's the Browns, you know? And I think with the Bills, I mean, that whole Nathan Peterman game right there is going to come back to haunt him. And as far as the Chargers go, I think Phillip Rivers is going to show up and he's going to beat down on the Raiders. So I got the Chargers and Ravens making those playoff spots. Obviously, I got if it was to end up Ravens in the 5th spot and Chargers in the 6th spot, I mean, I'd have the Jaguars beating the Chargers, and I got the Ravens beating the Chiefs. So we'll see how it all ends up, but that's what I think of the wild card right there. And, I mean, this is poor Buffalo Bills fans. I mean, your coaching staff is what's going to let you down again, not even the players. They should have never benched Tyrod Taylor. Made no sense to me, makes no sense to me now. But, I mean, we'll see how it all ends up for them. But what else do we got? We got the college football playoff going on. And on Monday, let's talk about the Oklahoma and Georgia game. Excuse me real quick. All right, back. Here we go. Yeah, so let's talk about the Oklahoma and Georgia game. Obviously, Baker Mayfield having the best college football season out of anyone this year, okay? Everyone thought Saquon Barkley might be the guy to win the Heisman, and maybe Lamar Jackson could pull it out again. And Bryce Love from Stanford, he had a shot. But it's going to be Baker Mayfield. Or it is Baker Mayfield. I don't know what I was thinking about. Rewind right there. Yeah, so Baker Mayfield had the best college football season, won the Heisman. And now, is he going to beat Georgia? My answer, no. All right. Georgia, they're going to run the ball all over that Big 12 defense right there. All right. That's one thing we don't realize. We tend to forget. Big 12 plays no defense. That's why these games in the Big 12 are always 49-45, 60-52. All right. These teams play no defense. The SEC, they play defense. All right. Georgia, this is the easiest pick I could make right here. Georgia is going to beat Oklahoma. Lock it down. Write it down. Record what I'm saying. It's going to happen. Okay? Oklahoma could come out and they could score 30. But you know what? Georgia's going to come out and they're going to score 31. Oklahoma's defense is not good. Okay? They're not. That's what it's coming down to. Georgia has the better defense out of the two teams. And defense wins championships. And defense wins games. And this defense is going to win this game. Like, it's just, I don't know why people are picking Oklahoma to win. Unless Baker Mayfield is that good to where he can go out and pretty much win it on his own. Which, you know what, he might be able to. I don't think he can. But, I mean, I feel like people are buying into the whole Baker Mayfield hype a little bit too much. Honestly, I don't think the guy's going to come out and be a great quarterback or anything like the NFL. I just don't think his skill set really translates to it. I think Josh Rosen's better than him. I think Sam Darnold's better than him. He's probably better than the dude out of Wyoming. What's his name? Josh Allen. And I think Lamar Jackson is better than Baker Mayfield by far. And that's another thing. Why are we sleeping on Lamar Jackson so much? The guy, like, when I see writers about, oh, yeah, he's going to be a wide receiver in the NFL, take away their credentials. They don't deserve to talk about that. To talk about college football or college football players. If you think that Lamar Jackson is going to be a wide receiver, then that just tells me right there, and I don't even have to know it for a fact, that just tells me that you have not seen one clip of Lamar Jackson's game. You have not watched him once if you think Lamar Jackson is going to be a wide receiver in the NFL, or he should be a wide receiver, or even change positions for that matter. You have not seen Lamar Jackson play once if you honestly, truly think that he should switch positions. I mean, it's baffling to me. Everyone says he has a weak arm. That's not the case at all. Lamar Jackson does not have a weak arm. Okay? He doesn't. People think, oh, since he can go out and run the ball out of the pocket, that's not going to translate to the NFL. Look at Cam Newton. He does it. Russell Wilson. He does it. Okay? You can be a quarterback who runs out the pocket and takes off. Okay? You just got to be a smart quarterback. That's it. The only quarterbacks, like, when it doesn't work for them, it's because they're not smart quarterbacks. All right? If you're a smart quarterback, then you can find a way to make it last, like Russell Wilson and Cam Newton have. Okay, I'm not going out here saying Lamar Jackson is as good as them or anything like that, but the whole Lamar Jackson should switch positions argument is the dumbest argument I have heard all year. By far the dumbest argument. And I mean that. You cannot go out and say that Lamar Jackson should go out and switch positions. It makes no sense. But going back to the Georgia and Oklahoma game, I just think Georgia is going to go out and they're going to beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to go out and drop 30, but Georgia's going to go out and drop 40 because that Oklahoma defense isn't going to be able to hold that Georgia running game. I think Georgia's going to go out, win, and they're going to be playing for the national championship. As for Clemson and Alabama, all right, this is a tough one. At first, I thought it was Clemson. Now I'm realizing, you know what? It's Alabama. Alabama's going to win this game. Nick Saban in revenge game, his last 14, I think it is. I saw the stat is 12-2. They're going to go out. They're going to win this game plain and simple. Deshaun Watson's not out there. I can't remember exactly the name of Clemson's quarterback, but he's been playing really well so far this season. But I just think that Nick Saban, he's going to have a game plan for Clemson. I think he's going to execute and they're going to play well. I don't know. I really don't like Jalen Hurts. I really want to go with Alabama. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go Alabama. I know Alabama was injured a lot this season, but this whole month is big for them. So I'm going to go Alabama in this game. Got Alabama winning. We're going to have an SEC championship, Alabama versus Georgia, and that's going to be a fun one. I won't be making a pick for that game because I want to see if I'm right about these two games right here. But yeah, I got Alabama beating Clemson, and I got Georgia beating Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield, solid quarterback, but he's not going to beat Georgia. Plain and simple. That's how it is, all right? So let's see what else we got going on in the world of sports. Let's see college basketball scores. Let's pull it up right here. We got from yesterday. All right, so from yesterday, we had Seton Hall facing off Creighton. That was a ranked matchup right there. Seton Hall was ranked 23rd. Creighton was ranked 25th. Seton Hall won that one 90-84. Seton Hall always puts out great teams, too. Those teams in that conference really don't get too much respect, but they're always competitive teams. As for Gonzaga, ranked number 20, they beat Pacific 81-48. As for the games going on today, we had Kentucky blow out Louisville. Kentucky's ranked 16th. They won 90-61. Michigan State plays Cleveland State later on today at 3 o'clock. Michigan State's ranked number 2. And you got West Virginia facing off with Oklahoma State at 4 o'clock. West Virginia's ranked number 7. And then we got Baylor versus Texas Tech. Baylor's currently ranked 18th. Texas Tech currently ranked 22nd in the nation. That game's at 5. And then we got number 11 Kansas facing off with Texas. That's going to be a fun game to watch right there. I'll definitely be watching that one. Texas always gives Kansas a hard time. So you know what? Texas might be able to pull it out, but we'll see. But that's actually going to wrap it up for the show today. Obviously, we got the New Year coming up. December 31st coming up on Sunday, and New Year's coming up on Monday. So you know what that means? That means no podcast on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be talking about the NFL games going on. Obviously, we'll know who's going to be in the playoffs. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the college football games that went on Monday. Oh, also, before I even wrap up the show, I think this Ohio State and USC game going on tonight, and that's at 5:30. This is going to be the game that helps Sam Darnold decide whether or not he's coming out. If he has a bad game, I think he's going to stay at USC. If he has a good game, I think he's going to come out. Either way, bad game or not, I think Sam Darnold should come out because I have this feeling that if Sam Darnold stays, he's going to end up like Jake Locker, right? Jake Locker, if he would have came out the year before he did, he's a top 5 pick easily. Came out, I think he got drafted in the 20s or the mid-teens. So Sam Darnold, if you're listening to this before your game, come out into the NFL, be the number 1 pick or the number 3 pick. I think Josh Rosen is a better quarterback than him, but either way, we'll see how it all ends up. But back to the end. This is the end of the podcast. Like I said, we'll be back on Tuesday. Enjoy your New Year. And I don't know what people usually do for New Year's. I mean, New Year's is like a weird little, is New Year's a holiday? I mean, I think so, right? I mean, obviously people get it off. Obviously, I'm getting it off since we're not going to have the podcast till Tuesday. But some people celebrate and some people just stay home. I mean, more power to you if you stay home. I mean, I like to rest too. So we'll see. But enjoy your New Year, whether you're staying at home or hanging out with family or friends. Enjoy it. I know I will. So we'll be back on Tuesday. Like I said, we'll be talking about the NFL playoffs. We'll be talking about the college football playoff games that happened on Monday. And we'll be talking about NBA like we usually do and anything else that happens. So hopefully there's a big storyline that breaks so we can talk about that too. But that's going to wrap it up for this GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Like I said, we'll be back Tuesday. So stay tuned and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.